Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Building in Minecraft. I am the Berserking Corgi. Today's episode is a special one. I'm inviting you all in to come and look at my own personal creative world that I've named Emerald Hills. This is a medieval-esque style town, and I have really enjoyed building it. It started out as a town to play with my friends online. That never happened. But I kept building on the town anyway, just because I loved how it looked. Now we'll go ahead and walk around the builds and do some fly arounds around each of them. It's a pretty small town, so this video won't be too horribly long, but I really hope that this will give some inspiration to you guys, or maybe even you'll enjoy looking at some of these builds so much that you will want me to build a block by block tutorial of one of them. If you do, just let me know in the comment section below. Now, the very first thing that I built when I started this world was this simple bridge. It's just several variations of the stone brick blocks, but man, oh man, as the bridge started to progress, it developed this almost medieval style, which I really don't build in very often, but for some reason, this just gave me so much inspiration to build an entire town around this theme. But after I got it done, I realized that it needed to have a little bit more support than just sitting on the edge of the river. So I added this entire series of retaining walls up and down both sides of the river. You know, it's a river town. Sometimes it's going to flood, and this will help prevent the soil from washing it out from underneath the foundations, right? Now we're going to go ahead and start with our first building. This is Golden Carrot Farms with a small little pasture and a farmer and a scarecrow outside. This really inspired the roofs for the rest of the buildings in the village, and I love how it has a little lean-to outside for keeping extra storage. On the inside, I really wanted to keep that kind of country feel, so I had some golden colored drapes and golden colored bed and little flower in a window. I mean, it's the Golden Carrot Farm. Everything has to be golden, right? Across the way is the old stone ranch. Now I have a whole bunch of these covered stables for all of the animals, and I love how they came out a little bit jaggedy and how they're irregular with several different kinds of blocks, and even the chicken coop was the same way. For the actual structure itself, it was very similar to that of the Golden Carrot, but instead of pointing the stairs out, I pointed them in. I even put in a working fireplace, and all I did was add the new campfire with a lever to keep the iron trapdoors closed. Now the inside is a really simple one room with a small kitchen and a bed and a working fireplace and a little bit of storage in the roof, and even a little table with a stool. Now, this is my little fishing shack. When I finished this, I fell in love with it. It's kind of whimsical, fanciful, because the bottom is a little bit smaller than the top. And the pier, I made all out of trapdoors, which made it a lot more streamlined than using half slabs. So that when I would built it down to the bottom of the seafloor for support, it didn't seem so bulky. Now, the inside is a little cramped, like you'd suspect, but it does not take away from having the basic necessities such as storage, having a campfire for food, even having a bed upstairs and room for anything else that you might need, like a crafting table or a furnace. Now, for the dock itself, this I did use half slabs on because I wanted it to seem a little bit more industrial, but I varied the style. I even put in a fish in a barrel, and I have some ore because this is a mining and fishing town. And I even made lamp posts, filling trapdoors with water and sea pickles. Now for the actual trading post itself, I built it into the retaining wall of the bridge stairs. I love it, kind of an old world English feel to it. And the roof style is very similar to the other builds that I have. As we go inside, it has some shelves and a little display area for selling items, even a table with a ledger. and a loft upstairs with a bed and some storage. If you're wondering about the seat, no, this was not my idea. This is from Daphne Elaine, but it's an armor stand placed upon a half slab with a helmet on top. Now this one does have a little secret. Underneath this trap door right here in the corner, if we go downstairs, there's a secret basement. You could put anything you wanted down here. I just used it as kind of foodstuffs and armor storage in case of emergencies. Now for the inn. The inn I wanted to make seem old, dilapidated, neglected, but worn and comfortable. I did this by putting stairs in to make it look like bricks were missing, and the same thing on the roof. I made it patchy and holey. For the inside, I wanted to have that kind of a pub feel, so I have some bar stools and a bar with some cups, and even a jukebox in the corner. Now, as we go upstairs, there are 2 rooms. I use trapdoors for the walls so the rooms don't feel so cluttered, even though they're really small. So if you have somebody else on your world, they can stay here. And the second room is even smaller than the first room, but this has storage, a crafting table in it, and a bed. Now out to the shopping center. The center of my town is a well surrounded by the market. Now, this first stall is an empty stall. I hadn't quite got anything set up on it yet, but I loved the way that the build kind of looked with a house with a little bit of storage on the outside. If we go in the house, it's really another example of a small house utilizing space by having a bunk bed with storage and a crafting table underneath. Now, I love this dye station. I cannot take full credit for this one. Another YouTuber by the name of Daphne Elaine is the one who showed me how to make this progressive kind of dyed look to the banners, and I think it's just a great look, and I really, really like it. And I hung some banners outside just to make it, look like they're on sale. Now, if you're looking for a really simple stall idea that's kind of self-serve, this flower stall is just trapdoors and some wooden stone fences. Now for the first brick and mortar store. This is the bakery. I went ahead and went with wood for the main part of the building and the roof, but I outlined everything with the stone brick. I even kind of made a scalloped edge to the roof with the stone brick stairs, and I was really inspired the day that I built this, and I really love the way that it turned out. And I hope you guys can see like the potential for this kind of a roof style. I know that I'll use it in the future. The inside of the bakery is very small and simple, but there is room for a double bed and some storage upstairs. Now for the second brick and mortar store. This is the butcher shop. I was really inspired to have a different idea for the roof like I did with the bakery, and I came up with this really low sloped curved style roof, and I think it is just enough different, but it fits in the world so well. I know once again I will be using this roof style in the future. Now, there is plenty of space on the inside of this store for selling items and storage. And even upstairs, there's a loft space with a bed where you could add even more storage. Now on to our local garrison. Over here we have an armory and the barracks and a training area for our local soldiers to help protect the town. First, we'll start off with the armory. I built it into the wall with this retaining wall surrounding it to keep it protected from anybody who might try to get in and steal the weapons and the armor that the armorer has available. And the interior is like very cave-like because of that. And behind the counter, there's even a sleeping area for the armorer. Now, the barracks ended up being slightly kind of a Viking medieval. And I love the supports of the stone walls holding up the edge of the roof and the gates and the buttons. I think it turned out great. The inside, we have bunk beds and storage for all of the local soldiers. But you could also remove a few of the bunk beds and add a kitchen space as well. Now at the back, I have this little sitting area with a campfire and stables for the horses. Finally, it's the training grounds with training dummies and even an archery area. Finally, if we go up the grand staircase, we come to the smiths. Up here, we have a weaponsmith and a toolsmith. The buildings are very similar, but the forge in one is on the outside and the forge on the other is on the inside of the house. Even the roofs are very simple in their style. The proportions are just different because one build is slightly bigger than the other. Now this is the example of an internal forge in this small little smith building. And then there's even room upstairs for a bed. And I love the way that the skylight ended up happening with the trapdoor ceiling. Now we move on to our toolsmith. Now his forge is on the outside with a very small space for his toolsmithing on the inside with a little bunk bed area. Now we move away from the smithing area and we move on to the mines. We're going to go ahead and start off with the mine housing. I was heavily inspired by Welsh mine housing. They have these long strips of buildings that all the houses are identical. The maintenance is very poor and they always look a little bit run down and dilapidated, and that's why there's moss and holes in the roof. That's why bricks and masonry are falling out on the sides. I really love the way that that this build kind of captured that feel. But it isn't one without beauty. There is plants growing, flowers, and all the different units. Now here's one unit. All of them are pretty much the same. There's a small kitchen space with a small table and a crafting station. And if you go upstairs, there's a bed with some storage space. Now unit number 7 is extra special in the mine housing. The button is hidden around the side, and when we go in, we find this lever on the floor. When we flick it, we hear a piston go. Now when we go back outside and around back, there's a hole in the ground. Now if we hop in, we find that there has been a mystery down here. Now what could have possibly happened to these two folks? Finally, we're going to make it to the mine. This is kind of an old style sluice mine that was common in the area where I grew up. And I kind of built it from the memory of how they looked when I was a kid. And we go inside. We have this gentleman and apparently a sheep processing the rocks and materials for the ore that's delivered by a minecart. Now, as we head into the mine, we find the mining office as well as the mining equipment. We go in the office, and this little cave-like office. Of course, there's ledger books to keep track of everything the miners find. Now, as we go deep down in these handcrafted mines, we eventually make it to a natural mine that I only built upon. I added some characters and some more in to make it feel a little bit more alive, and some scaffolding, and I can easily expand upon it in the future. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed this little walkthrough of my medieval style village, Emerald Hills. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on the video. If there were any builds that you saw through this walkthrough that you might like a block by block tutorial on, go ahead and leave those in the comments section below. I'll see what I can do for you guys. If you haven't already, do consider subscribing. And if you'd like to stay up to date on the latest news in my life, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. If you like this, also do consider checking out my survival series that I have on my channel. I am the Berserking Corgi. Have a fantastic day.